Good morning and welcome to our live talk program. This is Lloyd Grubb here, your host on Revive Reform Radio, doing our live talk program, covering motivation on this year, Monday, Rise and Shine and Give God the Glory. And today we're going to be looking at this topic here. Give me 1 second as I sort this out. Today we're going to be looking at this topic here, which is friends that are actually friendly. So welcome again. Just was having some technical difficulties to start the day, and I'd started the process wrong, and it failed. So I had to restart everything. So welcome again, and thanks for joining with me and sticking by as we go through this live talk. Let us pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, I thank you for the blessings of your word in this day and for the way you continue to guide us along. May you bless, dear Lord, my mind and those that are listening, that we might truly, dear Lord, develop in our character and experience and the value that we bring to life and we receive from this life. This is my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. So I'm looking at this topic here, which is a friend that is really actually, in truth, various different way you can say that a friend that are friends that are actually friendly. And you have to consider yourself and say, are you a friend that is actually friendly? And then do you have in your life people that are friends that are actually friendly? And this is important for you and I, for the quality of life that we live and experience that we have in this life, that we do have friends that are actually friendly. When this happens, our life is will be better and our experience would be better. So we want to be able to have friends that are actually friendly. And that's the value that we want to bring to this life. So I'll go now straight to our topic here, which is friends that are actually friendly. And you can see some of the stress that I'm having here. So notice here, which my theme for this week again, as I say, got myself caught up into some stuff here. So notice here that my theme for this week is results are unerring. So results are unerring. So we have results that we get that are there's no error in the results. And these choices that I'm going to cover, 5 choices that I'm going to cover in your life that is important to cover, that is important to do in this life, will give you a better outcome, better experience in life. And these choices deliver the best long-term results that are here and that are for here and for the year after. So you will have good results when you have these things. So all this week I'm going to cover 5 different topics. And today I start with friends, that if you want to be able to have the best life, you want to be able to understand some of the criteria as being a friend, and then how to spot or judge somebody that is a friend. And when you are friendly yourself and you value that in itself as a talent, I believe, to be friendly and to be a friend of someone, and then you have other people in your life that are really friends, then your quality of life is much better and your experience in life is much better. So this is what I want to encourage you today, to not only be a friend, but find yourself some friends. And I'm going to use some Bible to show you the importance of that. So our main text is in James chapter 2, verse 23. James 2, verse 23. And it says, and the scripture was fulfilled which said, Abram believed God, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness, and he was called a friend of God. So Abram believed God, and it was imputed to him for righteousness, and he was called a friend of God. So in that, that's important, right? When you can view yourself that you're friendly to God, firstly here, before we start talking about human beings, and then you can view yourself as the God, and you're viewed as you're a friend of God. So just imagine if you had that status. That alone, to me, would be, we start here because that would be the biggest blessing. If you can consider yourself. Now think about that, right? Don't think about so much about your friends that you have. Just think about it. Could you be viewed as a friend of God, right? Could you be viewed as a friend of God? And secondarily, are you friendly to God? Because it's one thing to say you want friends, but are you friendly, right? Do you view yourself as a friendly person? And that's an important thing to think about, because the one thing for you to ask somebody, are you friendly? But how do you view yourself? Do you view yourself as a person that's a friend? And are you looking for friends? And but obviously, if you have friends, your life will be enriched. So the flip of that now, me talking to you now, and we're talking about now God. Do you view yourself as a friend of God? If God was here on earth, would you be antagonistic towards God and his ways and what he's about, or will you be a friend? So that's an important thing to consider. So I won't stick there too much, but I want to put that thought in your mind. Because when you start to consider that question, then it brings to mind having friends that are on the earth. Because it's a similar thing. And I'll show you as I go through these texts how similar it is and how serious this is. So, Abraham now, he believed in God and he did what God told him to do. And he was called a friend of God. That's one of the most, surreal thing you can read in the Bible that you could read hundreds of times and don't really consider it. So then it makes me think, can I be considered a friend of God? Am I friendly to God? If God was here on earth, would he say, "Oh, that's God's friend," right? Which would be a major thing, right? If that would be, or if God says, "Oh, that's my friend right here," and you see where I'm going, where this is so important. So, but you can see that throughout life, the people that we view as good people in this world, most of them you could really consider them as off the cuff. You could just consider them as friend to God or friendly to God. The worst people that we have on this planet, that throughout history I'm talking, you would normally say they weren't friendly to human beings, but you could really consider that, oh, they were enemy of God. You wouldn't see, you think Moses is a friend to God, Pharaoh was an enemy of God. But somebody said, Lord, but Pharaoh was bad to the people. Yeah, but normally a person that's bad to human beings, you would quickly say, oh, they would be an enemy of God. So when we talk about being friend, and firstly, to be considered a friend of God, we can see real quickly how a person as friendly to God would be a friendly to human being, because God would consider somebody, even consider them if they would follow him by that killing people or lying, stealing. But all those things has to do with how we interact with human beings. So you say, okay, yeah, that person could be a friend of God. But then it goes to the worship sides, not just go where God tell you to go, but, worship God and not worship idols or Satan. So we would say a person that is a friend of God is friendly towards the things of God and what God says. And that's important to understand what it is to be a friend. And when you're looking for a friend and you want to enrich your life, in other words, I want to enrich your life this week, I'm not basically going to tell you what is it for you to do to make sure that you can have the richest life experience. And when you follow these things, and it's better, I believe, that if you could have one, two, three, even four, five, if you could really muster the energy to have five friends, real friends, that your life would be richer than a person who probably have a lot of acquaintance that they think is friends. Because a lot of people have frenemies. They're really friends, but they're enemies. And as they say, friends like those who needs enemies. So you don't want to have people like that in your life. You want to be able to have some rich experience. And throughout the Bible, what really I take that from is from God. God has not a lot of friends throughout history, but the friends that he has are real good friends that really stick to him, and then he stick to them and bless them. So you want to be blessed. Think about it. If anybody you want to be a friend, it's God, because God can bless you in ways that no man can bless you. So that's how I look at it. So I read it again. James chapter 2, verse 23. James chapter 2, verse 23. And James chapter 2, verse 23 says, and the scripture was fulfilled which said, Abram believed God, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness. He believed. That's a strong belief. He believed so much that you could say they've done it already. And that's what true belief is. It's you believe in God, and like a thief on the cross I think could be viewed this way. He just believed, and it could be viewed as for righteousness, just straight up. It just the belief was so strong. So notice here, and he was called a friend of God. So I want you to be a friend of God. But first thing here, Monday, I want you to start off by considering, do you have true friends? And if you don't, then you need to start finding friends, people that are really friendly. Matthew chapter 7, verse 17 through 19. Matthew chapter 7, verse 17 through 19. I'll read again. So my topic is friends that are actually friendly or that are truly friendly. You have friends, but they're not really friendly to you. And you could be a friend, but you're not friendly. There's a difference between being a friend and being friendly. There's some people, as I say, I could have a person that call me a friend, but I could never get them to call me, if that makes sense. So they never contact, but they say, "Oh, you're my friend." I'm like, "Wow, that's a strange friendship." I remember one time there's somebody I would talk to regular, more for business, and then they say, "You're my friend," and I'm like, "I'm your friend." I was actually surprised. I was shocked. So then I say, "Oh, that's strange," because you always think about a friend, that somebody that you spend time with, right, and you talk to, other than just once every 2 months. So I was thinking that has to be a sad life. So notice here now. So my theme again is the results are unerring. So this, when you have real friends in your life, your results will be not. There's no error in your results. It's real. You get the best results. When you have friends, people look out for you. People that in there for you no matter what. And they have results for here and hereafter. So Matthew chapter 7, verse 17 through 19. So this beautiful text here, Matthew chapter 7, verse 17 through 19. It says, "Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit." So again, if you have friendships, I'm gonna deal with 5 things this week, starting off with friendship. So if you have friendships and your friendship is bringing you evil fruits, then you don't have friendship. Or you need to do something. It's either you're messing up the friendship or the friends are messing you up or something's going wrong. So a friend, it will bring forth fruit. First thing there. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. So if you have friendships that are bringing forth bad fruits, then you need to hew it down and cast it into the fire. Or it will be hewn down and cast into the fire. You either need to pull the plug on it or it's going to pull the plug on itself. Because you're looking for the richest experience in this life. And what we do in this life, that's what we do. Whether our diet, our lifestyle, our worship, our job, everything, we're looking for the richest experience. We have, as I say, we go around the sun a few times. And by the time we finish that, then we pass off in this life. We want to be able to have the richest experience we can in this life. We want to have a taste of heaven while we're here. And so one of the ways of a rich experience is to have rich relationships in one life. So the richer the experiences and the more value the experiences are, it's the better life brings. So when we're building a life, we're building a life where we're looking for the best experience. So we're looking for the best people that we can connect to and to have as friends. And when we have those people in our lives, they enrich our lives, because what a friendship does is to enrich our lives. So a good tree, even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit. That's a fact. So if you have an experience, and I don't care if it's a family member, because you could have a very close friend that's actually a family member. It's actually not somebody that is just you met along the way. Or you could have a friend that is not a family member. But whichever way you come into that friend, the results of the relationship, if it's a friendly relationship, should be a result good. If it's not good, then it's not a friend. That's just what it is. So a friendly relationship should bring that. So is our relationship with God. Our relationship with God should bring forth very good fruits, right? Because that's what it's supposed to do. It's a friendly. And as I say, I've met so many people that they have no friends, and their life is it's reduced to me in value and meaning, because they don't have that situation where there's people that are bringing value to them, looking out for them, looking out for their best interests. So basically, and this is important to note. So a person that is friendly is a person that is always looking out for your best interests, always looking after you, always trying to have good times with you, and so forth. So it cannot bear bad fruit. We'll get back to that thought in a little bit. In John chapter 15, and John chapter 15, and we're going to read verse 19 through 18, verse 19 through John chapter 15, verse 12 through 19. 12 through 19 here as I deal with my stuff here. So, John chapter 15, verse 12 to 19. Gonna give you now, I think this gonna gives us, what would I call this? I would call this will be, again, some framework of what a friend is. Let's call it that. So, John chapter 15, verse 12 through 19, from my distraction here. So, notice here, this is my commandment, that ye love one another, as I have loved you. Greater love hath no man than this, that he lay down his life for his friends. So here we have this idea here that a friend is somebody that's going to be in there for you. And as I say, it could be a family, it could be somebody stranger that you develop a relationship for, and you have some bonds, some experience together, some affections, and some close ties together. So he's simply saying here that you want to be able to have this in your life. You want to have somebody that's in there for you, that's going to be there for you through the thick and thin, through good times, bad times, when you're up, down, when you're sick, whatever. It is always strange when you see a person, a grown adult, and they're sick in the hospital, and there's no family, there's no friend, there's nobody that is there for them. And then you start realizing that's when a friend is there for. It's not just in the good time. That's people in the bar. They're always for each other and friendly to each other, like in a bar area. But when the person is in the downtime, they have financial problem, they have health problem, they have, difficulties. There's to be somebody there for them. So notice it says, "Ye are my friends if you do whatsoever I command you." So this text is important to me because this text is important to me for the story of Abraham or Abraham. So it says about Abraham that Abraham was called a friend of God, right? Now, when you take James chapter 2, verse 23, and the end there says, he was called a friend of God. And you take John chapter 15, verse 14, and it says, "You're my friend if you do whatsoever I command you." Very interesting when it comes on to what a friend is. So as I say, I'm going to make the Bible in the next few verses define a friendship. Because if you go and you look up the meaning of friendship, it will not tell you what you're looking for. So over the years, I find this very fascinating, right? Because as I say, you want a rich experience and you want to be able to have a criteria. And part of the criteria is that you could say, okay, that's God and we must be friendly to God by doing what he says. But when you think about this, when you have a friend or you have a child or you have a spouse, these two texts aligns with the relationship. You see, the person who is your spouse or the person who is your child, you consider them to be, I want to say, a better spouse or a better child, or really a spouse or really a child. But most people, you consider that person that if you did do what you tell them to do, they are your friend, right? Because there has to be some level of what you say now, like some cordialities, being cordial, being in sync, right? So if you say we're going to do this, a person that is a friend going to say, okay, I'll do it. We're going here. You say, okay, I'll go here. This is the direction of the family. Okay, that's what it is. Oh, this is what we're going to do with our money. Okay, that's a friend. Because the friend is not supposed to be pushing against you. The friend is supposed to be pushing in your direction. He's supposed to be doing what you say. And this is difficult, but this is something that one has to deal with. And I really think about your relationships, right? I'm talking here because this is a monologue, but I almost wish I was having a conversation with you because I'd want to hear your thought on this. You could push against this, and I could push against this. But I have to think about it and say the people that are my friends are people that kind of move in my direction. Let's call it like that before we say do what I tell you, because most people don't want to do what they're told. The only people that do what they're told is people probably prisoners or people in a chain gang, and they're not doing it willingly. But you have a friend that, I've seen friends. This is how I've seen it. I've even seen friends that they'll dress the same way. You'd be like, man, it start to seem a little bit too much there, but they start to even put on the same clothing, and they go buy the same clothes and wear the same clothes. And this is why I think like people do team stuff. You put on a jersey for the team, and you feel like you and somebody have something in common, right? And you're cheering for the same side. So to me, like a friend is cheering on the same side. The two of you are on the same side. You're on the same team. And but you see, if you have a person on the other team, you consider them an enemy, right? So when you take this, I'm gonna read it again for you because this is very important to criteria, because you have to ask yourself a question. If you have a child that doesn't do what the child, it's a child now, so I know it's easy. Let's start there. If you have a child that doesn't do what you tell them to do, are you friendly with them, or are you always at odds with them? Right? Very interesting. Now, if you have a spouse that doesn't do what they tell you to do, are you friendly with them, or you have odds? Odds, and I know that becomes a difficult one, right? Because most of the time, we don't want to hear that part. Because if I'm married, and my my wife don't do what I'm telling her to do, doesn't it lead to argument? And my wife if I don't do what my wife tell me to do, doesn't it lead to argument and disagreement? If I'm moving a different direction and she don't agree with that direction, and is she not going to voice that complaint? Is that going to lead to arguments? And it's the same thing. So you have to think about it. If your spouse, the more you follow what is told you, then the more the relationship. Because the person is happy because you do what they tell them. No, you might not be happy about it, but they're happy because you're doing what they tell you to do. But the moment you say, "No, I'm not gonna do that," then it start leads to problem, and then it start becoming unfriendly. So normally, to me, a friend is somebody that is moving in your direction. Let's call it that way. Let's leave it at that. And so I don't know what you think about it. And again, I guess if you could text me and tell me, or one of these medias that I use, you could leave me a comment. But very fascinating. A friend does what you tell them to do. So Abram, I read it again and I'll move on from this. Abram was called a friend of God. Now, is there a fact of the matter that you're friendly to a person because what he can do for you? 'Cause remember, although we in this world, and yeah, there's love and all that, but a lot of what we do is called reward, right? I do it because I'm going to be rewarded. The friendship is rewarding to me. Now, a person that's not going to reward me in any way, and there's no value to the friendship, I'm not going to do what they tell me because there's no reward. And if I think the person is terrible, I'm not going to do what they tell me because I'm not going to get no reward. Or the reward I'm going to get, I don't want that. I don't want to be friends with certain people. But when we say Abraham is a friend of God, that's a valuable relationship because God gonna bless him. So he said, "I'll do what you tell me," because the valuable relation, it brings reward to me. So if we're in that situation, and when you think about that, a person that had friend, what is a friend? A friend is somebody that's gonna reward you and gonna bless you, and so you're friendly to that person because they have value. But a lot of time, if we don't see no value in a relationship with a person, then we won't be able to we won't want to have friends with them. Because to have friends with them, we're going to have to do what they tell us. I mean, really, that's what a friend relationship is in one aspect. You're doing what they tell you to do. You're going to function the way they want you to function. You're going to behave a certain way because there's value. And so we readjust based upon sometimes the audience that we're in, the crowd that we're running with. You can see when people run in a certain crowd, they look a certain way because they want to fit in. So when we're talking about our relationship with God, that concept of fitting in still goes there, right? So we go a little bit more. So notice here, you are my friends if you do whatsoever I command you. So you would say the person that follow the commandments of God is more friendly to God, right? That's what you would say. I mean, I'll say, since I'm talking this is my philosophy, I guess. So notice here verse 15, because I'm talking about how to have a rich experience. So this is how you do it. So notice here, if you do this, just think about it. If you want to have a very rich experience with somebody, just do what they tell you. And watch when you do what they tell you. Notice their behavior. They start thinking, this is they might think this is a person I have to control. But, That's a different discussion. So now, verse 15 says, of John 15, verse 15, he said, henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant knoweth what his Lord doeth. But I have called you friends, for all things that I have heard of my Father I've made known unto you. So this is an important criteria that Christ gives us when we want to have a relationship with him and relationship with others. Is this idea here of the servant is just being commanded. He doesn't understand the process and understand why. So he's just doing what he's told. It has not much value to him than I'm just doing my job. And I'm sure you've been in environments where you're in a work environment and somebody's just doing their job. And they're doing it miserably, but there's no higher process or purpose to them doing their job. So this can be a major thing and a thing that happens all the time. So in this situation, as Christ was saying here, he's saying, you're my servants because you know what I'm doing, right? And so I can tell you, go over here and do this. And then, well, they know what's going on. They understand the process. So they're like, oh, yeah. So they're not doing it just for the money, or they're doing it because, oh, man, I'm being told. They understand their purpose and why they're doing it. And for that, they're viewed as friends of God. And this makes the experience richer. Same task, but now they understand what the task is. So I'll give you an example. Christ and the disciples go 2 by 2. Now, the first time they probably went 2 by 2, it's just, okay, we're following him. He's the master, he's the teacher. Okay, we're following him. And they go 2 by 2. And as they go 2 by 2, they start to see the value of working in teams, or working as a group, or working in 2 by 2s as a duo. And they do it. And then now, the next time Christ send them, they'll be like, oh yeah, it's the best way to go. You see, they're friendly now. So if we go back now to verse 14, you are my friends if you do whatsoever I command you. But then he adds to that, well, you know why I'm telling you to do. So if we go back now to the relationship of the child. The child now, the problem with the child is often the child don't understand the long process. Go to school, do your schoolwork, do your homework, get good grades, take care of hygiene, eat healthy food, all of that. The child be like, oh yeah, but it's not no fun. So the child is doing it, but the child doesn't understand. Now say the child come to a certain age and the child understands why they're doing it. The child now can do what they're commanded, but they understand the master's will. And because they understand it, they can be viewed as a friend of the father, friend of the mother. But before that, they're just like the disciples, they're doing it. So when you are friends, a lot of times the friends have to have some bond, some deeper connection, that the way you do in life, you understand the purpose of it. And you've dealt with it. Because, like as I say, if you could hear me talk here, and you might not understand my process or my concept or whatever, and I could say something and it could be off-putting to you. But to somebody that knows me more, they'll be like, oh, okay, I know what he's talking about. It's not as off-putting because we have a friendship. But a stranger could hear and be like, that's shocking. And I'm like, why is it shocking? Because they don't know. And they don't understand the cadence or the flow and my mental flow. But a person that's close would understand mental flow. Oh, it'd be like, okay, this is me doing my thing. So that's what it is. So Christ says, okay. So it's easy, I think, when you have an adult as a friend than, say, in a child-adult relationships. Because the child really don't understand the why. They haven't got the experience, the learning, the whatever. An adult, if you say to an adult, hey, listen, man, we're gonna put in the hard work because we're gonna get something at the end. And we're gonna, do away with some this, and we're gonna sacrifice something. See, an adult would be like, oh yeah, I understand that process. Let's do it. Yeah, you could say, oh, that person is friendly and is a friend. But if you have a situation where you have, what you would call this now, not an adult now, but a child not going to understand. It's going to be difficult for them because they don't understand what it is, the process and how the process work and the process might seem very, how do I say this here? The process might seem very, it don't take too long. So let's keep going. I must have put them a gas here. But I just want you to get these ideas in your mind, because when we're looking for friends, a lot of time we're looking for friends that understand the process, understand what we're here for, why we're supporting each other, we are looking out for each other. We are in this world where people get lonely, get depressed, suicidal, whatever. We're here to take care of each other. So so the friend understand the process. So the friend like, hey, call you, check up on you, come and visit you, spend time with you. They understand the process. Somebody might not understand that process, and that process has no value to them, so they can't be friends. Keep going here. So verse 16 says, ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you, and ordained you, that you should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, and that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it to you. So this is important when we think about Abraham, right, and the rich experience that he lived, and being probably the fascinating. I always think that the story with Abraham is so fascinating, because the reason why it's fascinating, because of our current situation. When we talk about people that are religious, all three major religions, if you want to call it that, is Islam, Israel, or Judaism, and Christianity, all ascribe their foundation and their father as Abraham. Somebody could say just an irony, but it is the reality. As I said, the Bible is filled with so much coincidence for our modern life. And somebody say, but why? Well, if you understand the story, the man is called a friend of God. So we want to follow him. So if you notice here, he says you want to be able to have fruit and the fruit remain, which is going to be my main focal point. Because when you go through this life, the 5 things I'm going to talk about, when you go through this life and you have these things in your life, you live the rich experience, and a long-term rich experience, because this is as part of the enriching of your life. Just to be a friend and to have friends in your life, and the friends, you're having a special experience with people who are special. As I say, especially when we're talking about having friends that are religious people, Christians, that is a beautiful experience. So notice here, ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you, and ordained you that you should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit may remain, that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, I will give it to you. So imagine now, if you're a friend of God, what do you think? When you ask God, God is going to give to his friend what you ask, right? The Bible tells us that, the wicked, there's situations in the Bible where the Bible said, don't pray for these people because I'm not going to answer. The God talking to his friend, like Jeremiah, I said, Jeremiah, don't pray for them. If you pray for them, I might want to listen to you, but you're my friend, but they're not my friend. Don't even talk to me about them. So you want to be able to be a friend of God, but also you want to be able to, in this situation of what I'm talking about, you want to enrich your life by having friends, because a friend, a person that you're really friend with, not just somebody you call because you're in need. All right, that's how people treat God. But a person that is in a relationship with you, most naturally, when you ask them something, they give it to you because you're the friend. That's what you do for your friend. You take care of your friend, right? So you want to have friends because of that reality, that other reality. But your friends have to be somebody that is literally in a friendly relationship with you. And that's just a fact. So notice here, these things I have commanded you, that ye love one another. If the world hate you, ye know that it hate me before it hate you. If you were of the world would love its own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hate you. So this here is like a team situation. Right? That's just a fact. That's the life we live. You're on one team, God's team, so to speak. And if you're on God's team and I'm a friend with God, then you're supposed to be on my team. So you're on God's team. And in that situation, you are considered a friend of God. So then, because you're not a friend of the world, now you become an enemy of the world. And so sometimes in relationship that you have as friends, what it is, you have somebody that is on your team and you're on their team. But whoever is on against you, right? your friend is against that person because they're on your team. Does that make sense? Right? I can't be a friend of the world and a friend with God. But if somebody don't like my friend and is against my friend and trying to hurt my friend, I can't be on their team. And I find that could be the sense. And I've experienced this in church. Let me explain this to you. So I'm in church and I realize, like, if you're not worldly and you're not on the society team, whichever president or leader of the country, I find that if I'm against certain wickedness that's it they're doing, when people are political and they vote for certain people, they now become my enemy. Because if I speak out against the wickedness of the country or the wickedness that the government is doing, they get offended because they're on the government's team. They're not on my team. So then I find, I can't worship with people like that. This is a fact because we are in two different teams. You can't be doing genocides and wicked thing and killing people all over the place. And then if I speak it against it, you're offended, and because you voted for the wicked people. You see, so I've noticed that over the years, that if you speak out against some of the racist behavior and some of the homicidal, genocidal, transgender behavior, and all this wickedness that goes on, how people get offended because they're voting for it. I'm like, okay, so you're not my friend, right? We're not in the same team because the Bible says friendship with the world is an enemy of God. Those who love the world, they hate God. Now, if I love God and I believe in righteousness and morality and mercy and justice, people who are not into that, they side with the government or they side with whatever evil person in Congress or Senate, and that's who they vote for. So we're not friends because everything I say is going to offend them. They're offended because they're into the wickedness, and their church leaders that they probably have into that wickedness are silent on the wickedness. So if you talk up against it, you lose their friendship, and that's how it's supposed to go anyhow. Because how can two walk together unless they agree? So when you're doing this live, you're really looking for people who you can connect with. You have a bonds with. The bond that you have can be strong, and you don't break that bond because of whatever. And when a person break the bond, you're gonna break the friendship, right? Because if you're my friend, you're gonna do what I command. These are basic premise that we understand and we sometimes have a problem with, but it becomes a team sport, so to speak. We sometimes want to admit that because we believe in preaching the gospel, showing mercy to all men. But at the end of the day, if we for God, we're not for the world. Remember, John the Baptist was killed by Herod because he was wicked, and he preached out against Herod. Somebody said, "Oh no, we don't preach out against religious, political leaders, really." And not if you're righteous. If you're unrighteous, you might say that. And all of these people, we don't preach it against that, and then go vote for them and support wicked people in government. So John the Baptist lost his head, and his disciples mourned for him. They didn't think it was right what happened to him because they're friends with John the Baptist. And Christ was perturbed, was troubled by it, because he knows sooner or later the same group of wicked people that killed John was going to kill him, right? So how are you going to be friends? So how are you going to be friends with Pilate and friends with God? Pilate need to be repented and Herod need to repent, but they don't need to be my friends when they're murdering people all over the world. But there's people who support these wicked people, and these people have blood on their hands all over, all the day long, every day, and yet they're supporting all this wickedness that's going on, this warmongering behavior. So if you speak it against it, they don't like you. But we need to be in friends with God, because ultimately we're talking about blessings for life, for here and then hereafter. Herod can bless. I mean, I guess Herod can bless me, I guess, but not in a way. Somebody, we want tax break for the rich. That's wickedness. All right, they get so much tax break in this country. They don't start ripping off the society. $30-something trillion worth of debt. Are you going to support that wickedness? So we don't support it. But people be like, oh no, I'm not a friend of yours. Well, so what? You be a friend of the wicked people. But we over here, because a friend must be in some type of bond, and my friend must know you're on my team or we're on God's team. We're not on their team. But there's people we side with, like, again, if you speak out against wickedness that the conference do, no, that's God's church is going through. Yeah, but it's still wickedness. And the church is going to keep emptying out for that wickedness. But they'll be like, let's not talk about that because you think the church is bad. I think they're doing wickedly. And you can see the results, peer empty churches and closed churches. But when you talk about that, they get upset. Well, we're on God's team. We're not on no institution team or no government team. So this is what it is. So the friend must show himself to be friendly. All right. And then as he show himself friendly, then you get a result. So now I'll go to one other text here. So three other texts here. So notice here in Proverbs chapter 18, verse 24, it says, a man that hath friend must show himself friendly. So a man that hath friend must show himself friendly. And there's a friend that's sticking closer than a brother. So a man that had friend, right, must show himself friendly. That's logical thinking right there. If you if you have friends, then yeah, it's logical that you're gonna show yourself friendly. So that's why my topic again is friends that are actually friendly, because you could have people in your life that okay, you're connected with them, and I have people like that in my life, so to speak. You're connected, but you're not really friends in that sense. You're just connected. As I say, even in the radio, I have people listen and watch online for church, but I really know who they are. I just watch. And I say, you're not really a friend. Probably person know me, but I don't know them. So, but when you have a friend, the person must show themselves friendly, right? So the person, a friendly person, will talk to you, will check up on you, as I say, will look out for you, be on the same team with you, make sure that you're doing well. And if they're blessed, you're blessed. If they're sad, they make you know that they're sad. You know the person. You know the person ups and downs. It's not a fake relationship where the person will show up when they're in good times and when they're in bad times. They don't tell you. A friend, the bad days, the good days, the struggles, their upside, their downside, so forth and so on. It's a friend. It's an open relationship. It's not a closed relationship where people are faking. I realize that since I've lived so long now that I've realized a lot of people that they have people that either they have a wrong criteria for the friend is, and or they, I don't know, they seem to have a lot of hypocrite friendships. People that they call friends that really stabbing them in the back or competitive. Like a friend can never be a competitive person, because you and them on the same team. They're not competing with you. Like just think about a team. Team sports are normally what, I think it's normally 11, 12 people. And most team sports, basketball, I think is 5. And then there's people on the bench. So a team is normally probably about 12, 13, whatever people, 11. And when you think about more team sports and stuff like that, it's normally a small group of people. If it's like a single person sport, there's like probably one or two coach. There's strength coach. There's whatever the main coach and all that. And normally they just have a team and they're working together. Their aim is not to take each other out. Their aim is for each other to win. So to me, a friendly person is a person that's on your team. They want you to win. They're not on the other team, right? They're on this team. And so if you have somebody on your team that is working for the other team, that means they're sabotaging you. Judas was not a friend. Judas was on the other team. He was on Satan's team. So when we talk about a friend that are going to enrich your life and give your life a better experience, we're talking about a person that is on your team, is on your side. They're like one of these insurance company. And they're, as I said, they're batting for you. They want you to win. So a man that had friend must show himself friendly, right? Show himself that he's a friend, he's not an enemy. He's on your side, he's on your team. And when you have this in your life, and as I say, if you can do like Jesus and have 11 friends, as I said, one was a snake, then you're doing good, because most of the time it's hard to find one or two or three friends, according to what this is saying. But when you find a friend, 2 friends, 3 friends, and if you can do 11 friends, you're doing excellent. You're on Jesus level. You get into that level. Your life is just better. Imagine you have 11 people in your life, and probably one snake, and 11 people in your life that's looking out for you. And if you have that, man, I wish you could even text me or comment on one of the social media and tell me. You have 11 friends, 11 people in your life that you can say, these people are looking out for me and they're on my team. Your life will be better. Now, again, as I say, give the Lord the praise. If you have a friend or 2 or 3 or 4, tell me if they don't enrich your life. All right, make your life better. Just think about that. Just think about your friends. Real friends now. I'm not talking about frenemies or hypocrites. I'm talking about real friends or snakes. Does they make your life better? So when you have friends, so it's important for you to go get some friends out there. If you're going to collect some, that's great. And you will see that your life is just going to be better financially, socially, morally, spiritually, whatever. Your life is just going to be better health wise. You're going to be better mentally. Just to know that there's people looking out for you, people looking out for your best interest, people pray for you, people have you in their thoughts and prayers, not just when you have an accident. And they say that. So we can get to that two texts. So, and there is a friend that's sticking closer than a brother. Now, if you have this, that's a very good thing. Just imagine if you have a friend, and you can, I just say, if you could do like Christ, we have 11 of them that stick to you like the crazy glue or whatever type of glue they have, and they stick to you like a brother, and they look out for you. You have that in your life. Your life is enriched. So I'm telling you, you could know a lot of people, but please, go develop a friendship. And if you have a friendship, develop a friendship more. Dig deeper into that friendship, because what's going to happen is that your life is going to be more rich on this earth. You're going to start experience what a little taste of heaven is. Proverbs 27 verse 17, Proverbs 27 verse 17 say, iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. So what happened is that when you start having people who are real friends of yours, as I say, people on your team, people are looking out for you, people want you win, because I've dealt with people that they don't really want you to win because they're losers, even if they're winning, but they're still losers. When you have somebody in your corner cheering for you, want you to win, want you to do better, want you to do well, looking out for your best interest, trying to look out for you and make sure that you're all right and you're doing better, you're doing better, you're doing better. Not just somebody that you hear about because there's rain and there's thunder and lightning, but people just in there for you. You, as I say, will do best in this world where you have friends, people that you can say, that's my friend. And as I say, it could be a family member, it could be just a stranger that you met and you became friends. Because what it is iron sharpening iron. I probably have to sometimes keep, because I use this text a lot, I have to keep probably 2 knives at the desk when I'm doing these talks so I can make you hear what iron sounds like against iron. Because if you ever been in a situation, you'll be like, oh man, how do I? Or you've seen butchers do this. They take 2 knives and start rubbing it next to each other. And by doing that, they sharpen it so they can cut easier. And so when you have a friend in your life, a true friend, you'll be able to do this iron sharpening iron. You'll be able to sharpen the person sharpen you. You bounce off each other. You share something, they share something. They see something, they say, hey, this is what's going on. You see something, you say, this is what's going on. This is the opportunity. This is the whatever. They come and give you an application for a job. They come and tell you, whatever. They're looking out for you because they want your best. And I found that, ministry can be misinterpreted, because I've dealt with people that you're trying to minister to them, to bless them, and they see it as probably you're trying to tell them what to do. And I'm like, well, kind of a friend does that, right? They're telling you what to do. They're telling you, hey, there's an opportunity over there, go get this job. Or they tell you there's a new supplement on the market, go take this supplement. They're telling you, okay, there's a park open up over here, go walk that park. It's a nice park to walk. That's all a friend does. It's just looking out for you and telling you, hey, this good thing over here, this good thing over here. Oh, you see this new thing? You see this thing in the news? That's what a friend is. So what I've learned in life is that what I think we consider ministry, because we're in a corporate church and it's kind of, everything is corporatized in America. What I find is that ministry is really friends just looking out for friends, or people being friendly to other people and trying to minister to their needs and bless them and lift them up and keep them going and stuff like that. A friend wouldn't see a friend in the gutters and leave them there. A person not in the gutter and side of the street, I believe that they have no friends. That's their problem. And so iron sharpened iron. What we're doing, as I learn some things and have a new meditation, I share the meditation here. If you're listening, I'm trying to sharpen you so you can become sharp, so you don't, your brain just work the best. So what am I sharpening to you today as I minister to my friends listening to me online is that I'm telling you, you need to have the best relationship. I'd prefer you have 2 or 3 or 1 close relationship than have 1,000 hypocrites and snakes in your life and thinking, oh, I have a lot of people in my life. It's a rich experience. We have somebody that just look out for you, that's want to go on vacation with you, want to spend time with you, want to be around you. That's a friend. Just looking out for your best interest. You need this in this life. If you don't have this in your life, go get it. You'll be best. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 18. 2 Corinthians 3, verse 18 says, but we all, with open face, beholding as in a glass the glory of the Lord, are changed into the same image from glory to glory, even as by the Spirit of the Lord. So, similar to this text about a friend sharpening the countenance of a friend, so is it that when we want to be like Abraham, we want to be that person that is viewed as a friend of God, so that when we read the Bible, when we meditate upon His Word, when we look at nature, when we look at human beings as the crowning act of His creation, what we become like God. We start to behold and we start to become more glorious. As I believe, I have 5 things to share with you this week, so I hope you keep joining me here. That as I believe is that when we start to live this glorious life is when we start taking on these things that I'm going to talk about, that I'm talking about here. When you want to have the richest experience, one of the things you want to do in this life is have a friend. Have 2 friends. If you can be like Jesus, which is the high water mark, is the master. If you can have 11 friends, that means 11 human beings that do what you tell them, so to speak, that understand why you're telling them. That's the secondary thought to that. That look out for your best interests, understand that you're looking out for the best interests, and the both of you are looking out for each other's interests. So you have 11 people like that. That would be amazing. You know, I could see why Christ could move the world. You know, because what it is that went from 11 to 12 to 120 really in the upper room. Those were his friends, and that went to Pentecost and all that, because now they became friends. The gospel is a social gospel. It's not a corporate gospel. It's not a corporate governance. It's a social gospel. It's friends connecting with friends, people ministering to you. If you can have people in your life that minister to your best interest and you are ministering to that best interest, that's the gospel. That's the foundation of the gospel, and that's the rich experience we want to have. So this is what I want to encourage you this week. And so the results are unerring, and you want to be able to have this in your life because you'll just do better in this life. You can see it already if you think there's something that you can't see that this is how this can benefit you. I don't know what to say to you, but if you can have some real friends, people that love you, want to be around you, looking out for your best interests, so want the best for your life is going to be enriched, and I want that for you. So that's why we're here. Let us pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, I thank you for your word. And this day I pray that you may be with us and bless us, dear Lord, as we go through the rest of the day. And may you continue, dear Lord, to shine your face upon us. And may we receive not only the blessing that you give, but that we may be friends to thee. May you bless us, we pray, for Christ's sake. Amen. Well, thanks for being with me here on Revive Reform Radio. Looking forward to talking to you again live tomorrow, where we should talk about church-related matters. Until then, I pray that you may continue to walk with the King.